The UES Indomitable moved slowly through the dark space between stars. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, watching the endless black through the main window. Her ship was huge, built for war, with thick armor and powerful guns. 800 crew members lived and worked inside its metal halls. 3 years had passed since the war ended. Humans and Zephyrians had fought each other across dozens of star systems. Many people died on both sides. Now they had an uneasy peace, but nobody trusted anyone completely. Chen walked to her command chair. Her uniform was clean and pressed, but her eyes showed tiredness. 6 months in deep space was hard on everyone. The crew did their jobs well, but she could see they wanted to go home. "Captain," called Lieutenant Torres from the communication station. "I'm getting something strange." Chen turned to look at him. Torres was young but good at his job. He wore headphones and stared at his screen with a worried look. "What kind of strange?" Chen asked. "It's a distress signal, but not from one of our ships. The encryption is Zephyrian." The bridge became quiet. Everyone stopped what they were doing. Commander Rodriguez, the first officer, walked over to Chen. He was an older man with gray hair and scars from the war. "Zephyrian," Rodriguez said quietly. "Are you sure?" Torres checked his instruments again. "Yes, sir. It's coming from grid 77 Alpha, about 4 hours away at full speed." Chen felt her stomach tighten. The Zephyrians were not friends. During the war, they had destroyed human colonies and killed thousands of people. Many of her crew had lost family and friends fighting them. "What does the message say?" Chen asked. Torres put the signal through the ship's translation computer. A mechanical voice filled the bridge. "Emergency. Emergency. This is research vessel, wandering star, engine failure, life support failing, hostile ships approaching, request immediate assistance." The message repeated several times, then stopped. Chen looked around the bridge. Her crew watched her, waiting for orders. She could see different feelings on their faces. Some looked angry, others seemed confused. A few looked like they didn't care. "Captain," Rodriguez said in a low voice, "we could just continue our patrol. Nobody would question it. The Zephyrians wouldn't help us if we were in trouble." Chen knew he was right. During the war, human ships had sent distress calls that Zephyrian vessels ignored. The alien race believed that helping enemies was foolish. Their culture taught them that only the strong survived. "How many crew on a Zephyrian research ship?" Chen asked. "Usually about 100 to 150, answered Dr. Yilan from the science station. She was one of the few humans who studied alien cultures. If it's a research vessel, there might be civilians and young ones too." Chen walked to the main window again. Space looked the same as always, cold, dark, and empty. She thought about the war. She remembered the battles, the friends she had, lost, the planets that burned. The Zephyrians had shown no mercy then, but she also remembered why humans fought. They didn't fight just to win. They fought to protect people who couldn't protect themselves. They fought because some things were right and some things were wrong. "Captain?" Rodriguez asked. "What are your orders?" Chen turned back to her crew. She saw young faces and old faces. She saw people who had suffered because of the war. She also saw people who still believed in doing the right thing. "Torres, how long until the hostile ships reach them?" "Unknown, Captain, but if their life support is failing, they don't have much time." Chen thought for exactly 30 seconds. Then she made her choice. "Helm, set course for grid 77 Alpha. Maximum speed." The bridge stayed quiet for a moment. Then, Rodriguez nodded. "Aye, Captain, all hands prepare for acceleration." "Captain," said Ensign Park from the tactical station, "shouldn't we call for backup, or at least inform command?" Chen sat in her chair and watched the stars begin to move as the ship turned. "No time. By the time we get permission or backup, those people will be dead." "But they're Zephyrians," Park said. Chen looked at him. Park was very young, probably on his first deep space mission. He had learned about the war in school, but he hadn't lived through it. "Yes, they are," Chen said. "They're also people stuck in space with no way home. We don't leave people to die in the void." Rodriguez sat at his station. "All stations report." "Ready, Captain." "Engage," Chen ordered. The Indomitable's massive engines came to life. The ship moved faster and faster through space, heading toward the distress signal. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Walsh watched his instruments carefully. In the medical bay, Dr. Martinez prepared for possible casualties. Throughout the ship, 800 crew members got ready for whatever they might find. Chen stayed on the bridge as her ship raced through space. She thought about her decision. Command might not approve. Some of her crew might not approve. The Zephyrians might not even trust them, but none of that mattered. Somewhere ahead in the dark, people were dying. Maybe they were enemies. Maybe they were aliens who looked and thought differently. But they were still people. "Captain," Torres called out. "I'm getting more signals. Multiple ships, different signatures. Hostile?" Chen asked. "Unknown. The signals are scrambled, but there are at least 3 of them near the Zephyrian ship." Chen felt her hands tighten on the arms of her chair. 3 ships meant trouble. Pirates, raiders, or scavengers often traveled in small groups. They hunted for disabled vessels to rob or worse. "Time to intercept?" she asked. 3 hours, 47 minutes, answered the helmsman. Chen hoped they would not be too late. In space, a few minutes could mean the difference between life and death. She had made her choice to help. Now she had to hope it was the right choice. Behind her, Rodriguez checked the weapon systems. The crew prepared for battle. In space, showing mercy was dangerous. But Chen believed it was also necessary. The Indomitable flew through the night between stars, carrying hope toward people who had no reason to expect it. 4 hours later, the Indomitable arrived at the worst place Chen had ever seen. Broken pieces of starships floated everywhere in space. Some pieces were as big as buildings. Others were small chunks of twisted metal. This was a graveyard of ships from the war. "My God," whispered Ensign Park. Chen understood his shock. The debris field stretched for thousands of kilometers in every direction. Human ships and Zephyrian ships had died here together. Their metal bones drifted in the dark, reminding everyone of the cost of war. "There," pointed Rodriguez. 2 o'clock, 15 kilometers. Chen saw it through the main window. The wandering star hung in space like a wounded bird. The Zephyrian ship was beautiful even while damaged. Its hull curved and flowed like something alive. But now it had holes torn in its side. Gases leaked from the wounds, creating small clouds in the vacuum. "And there are our hostile contacts," added Torres. 3 ugly ships circled the Zephyrian vessel. They looked like metal spiders with too many arms. Cutting beams shot from their hulls, slicing into the wandering star's outer shell. These were Korath ships. The Korath were scavengers who fed on the pain of others. "Captain," Dr. Yilan called from her station. "I'm picking up Zephyrian communications. They're asking for help. Can you translate?" Dr. Yilan listened to her headset. Her face became pale. "They say there are 127 people on board. That includes civilians and younglings. Their life support will fail in less than 2 hours." Chen felt anger rise in her chest. The Korath knew there were children on that ship, but they didn't care. They would take what they wanted and leave everyone to die. "Open a channel to the lead Korath ship," Chen ordered. Torres worked at his controls. "Channel open, Captain." "Korath. Vessel, this is Captain Chen of the UES Indomitable. Move away from that ship immediately," a harsh voice answered in broken Galactic Standard. The words sounded like rocks grinding together. "Human warmonger, this is not your business. Zephyr meat belongs to us by right of finding. Go away or join the dead ships in this graveyard." Chen stood up. "I'm giving you one chance to withdraw peacefully." The Korath captain laughed. It was an ugly sound. "1 human ship against 3 Korath vessels? You are stupid, warmonger. We will add your ship to our collection." The communication ended. Rodriguez moved to the weapons station. "Captain, should I power up the guns?" Chen looked at the tactical display. 3 Korath ships against 1 human dreadnought. On paper, it should be a fair fight. But she knew the Indomitable was built for war. Her crew was trained for war. The Dia. Korath were bullies who picked on helpless victims. "Dr. Yilan, what are the Zephyrians saying now?" Dr. Yilan listened again. They're confused. They can't understand why we're here. One of them is asking if this is a trick. Chen smiled without humor. During the war, neither side had shown mercy. Both humans and Zephyrians had learned to expect the worst from their enemies. These Zephyrians probably thought the humans had come to finish what the Korath started. "Tell them we're here to help," Chen said. "Captain," Rodriguez said quietly, "if we fight here and word gets out that we saved Zephyrians, it could cause problems. Some people will say we're being soft. Others might think we're planning something." Chen knew he was right. Politics in human space was complicated. Many people still hated the Zephyrians. They would not understand why a human ship risked itself for former enemies. But Chen also knew something else. She looked around the bridge at her crew. These people had followed her through 6 months of boring patrol duty. They trusted her to make the right choices. Most of them had fought in the war. They knew what it meant to be helpless and alone in space. "Mr. Rodriguez, how long would it take to destroy those Korath ships?" Rodriguez checked his instruments. "With our firepower advantage? Maybe 10 minutes. And how long to evacuate the Zephyrian ship? Unknown. Their docking systems are different from ours. Could take hours." Chen made her decision. "All hands, battle stations, red alert." Alarms sounded throughout the ship. 800 crew members ran to their positions. In the gun turrets, human gunners loaded weapons that could crack planets. In engineering, Chief Walsh pushed the reactors to full power. In the medical bay, Dr. Martinez prepared for wounded. "Korath ships are moving to attack positions," reported Park. "Weapons hot," added Rodriguez. "All systems ready." Chen sat in her command chair. "Show them what human military doctrine looks like. Open fire." The Indomitable's main guns spoke with voices of thunder. Beams of concentrated energy reached across space in seconds. The first Korath ship exploded like a firework. The second took heavy damage and began spinning out of control. The third Korath ship fired back. Its weapons hit the Indomitable's shields, causing the whole ship to shake. But human shields were stronger than Korath guns. "Return fire," Chen ordered. More weapons fired from the human ship. The damaged Korath vessel broke apart. The third ship tried to run, but the Indomitable's guns followed it. In less than 5 minutes, all 3 enemy ships were destroyed or fleeing. "Threat eliminated," Rodriguez reported. But their victory created a new problem. The weapons fire had hit some of the old debris from the war. Chunks of dead ships began moving and crashing into each other. The whole debris field started to collapse like a house of cards. "The graveyard is destabilizing," called out the science officer. "Gravitational cascade in progress." Chen watched in horror as massive pieces of wreckage began falling toward the Zephyrian ship. The wandering star was too damaged to move out of the way. Time until impact? 23 minutes. 23 minutes to save 127 people. Chen felt time pressing down on her like a weight. "Can we dock with them?" "Negative. Their docking port is damaged, and our systems aren't compatible anyway." Chen thought fast. "What about an emergency boarding?" Rodriguez understood immediately. "Risky. We'd have to cut through their hull. Could kill everyone inside if we hit the wrong spot." "Do we have a choice?" Rodriguez looked at the tactical display. Huge pieces of metal were falling toward the Zephyrian ship like slow-motion meteors. "No, Captain, we don't." Chen turned to the communication station. "Torres, get me Chief Martinez." A few seconds later, the Chief of Marines appeared on the main screen. He was a big man with steady eyes and steady hands. "Chief, I need you to prepare a boarding party. Emergency rescue operation." Martinez nodded. "How many people, Captain?" 127 Zephyrians. You'll have to cut through their hull and evacuate them to our ship." "Understood. How much time do we have?" Chen looked at the falling debris. Some pieces were already getting close to the damaged ship. "Not enough," she said. Chief Martinez and his Marines moved through space like armored ghosts. Their powered suits protected them from the vacuum and the flying debris. Behind them, the Indomitable held position, its guns shooting down the largest pieces of wreckage that threatened the rescue operation. "Cutting through the hull now," Martinez reported over the radio. Chen watched from the bridge as bright sparks flew around the Zephyrian ship. The Marines used plasma cutters to slice through the alien metal. It was dangerous work. One mistake could depressurize the whole section and kill everyone inside. "Be careful, Chief," Chen said. "We don't know how their ship is built." "Copy that, Captain. Almost through." Dr. Yelan listened to the Zephyrian communications. "They're scared. Some of them think we're attacking them." Chen felt frustrated. She wanted to help these people, but they didn't trust her. During the war, humans and Zephyrians had done terrible things to each other. It would take time to heal those wounds. "Tell them we're here to help," Chen said. "Tell them we're trying to save them." Dr. Yelan spoke in the flowing language of the Zephyrians. Her pronunciation wasn't perfect, but it was good enough. A few moments later, she got an answer. They say they don't understand. One of them asks why humans would risk their lives for Zephyrians. Chen almost smiled. It was a fair question. Most species in the galaxy looked out for themselves first. The idea of helping strangers, especially former enemies, didn't make sense to them. "We're through," Martinez announced. On the main screen, Chen watched the Marines disappear into the hole they had cut. The Zephyrian ship was dark inside. Emergency lights cast red shadows on the walls. The Marines moved carefully, their helmet lights cutting through the darkness. "First group of civilians located," reported Sergeant Kim. "They're in bad shape, some injuries, and the air is getting thin." "Get them out of there," Chen ordered. The rescue began. Marines carried Zephyrian civilians in their arms, moving through the damaged ship as fast as they could. The aliens looked strange in the helmet lights. They were tall and thin, with pale skin and large eyes. Their hands had too many fingers, and their faces were longer than human faces. But they were still people. Chen could see fear in their eyes, and hope when they realized the humans were trying to help them. "Second group located," Martinez called, "including younglings." Chen watched as Marines carefully carried small Zephyrian children. The younglings were even more fragile than the adults. They moved their arms and legs in ways that looked wrong to human eyes, but their cries sounded just like any frightened child. "Medical teams to docking bay 3, Chen announced over the ship's speakers. "Prepare for alien physiology." Dr. Martinez and his medical staff were already waiting. They had studied Zephyrian biology during the war, but only to find ways to hurt them. Now they used that knowledge to help instead. The first group of refugees arrived on the Indomitable 20 minutes later. Chen went to the docking bay to see them herself. The Zephyrians huddled together, looking around with wide eyes at the human ship. One of them, wearing what looked like a scientist's uniform, approached Chen. He was old for his species, with silver markings on his pale skin. He spoke in careful galactic standard. "I am Research Director Veltar. You are the captain of this vessel?" "Captain Sarah Chen," she replied. "How are your people?" Veltar looked confused. "You ask about our welfare? I do not understand this behavior." Dr. Yelan stepped forward to translate. She spoke with Veltar in his own language. His large eyes grew even wider as she explained what was happening. "He wants to know why we're helping them," Dr. Yelan told Chen. "He says humans have no logical reason to risk their ship and crew for Zephyrians." Chen looked at Veltar. The alien scientist was studying her with the same intensity he might use to examine a new form of life. "Tell him we help because it's the right thing to do," Chen said. Dr. Yelan translated. Veltar made a sound that might have been surprise or confusion. "More refugees coming in," announced Martinez over the radio. "But we've got a problem. Some of the debris is getting too close. We need to move soon." Chen looked at the tactical display. Huge chunks of metal were falling toward the Zephyrian ship. They had maybe 10 more minutes before the area became too dangerous. "How many people are left on the Wandering Star?" "About 40, Martinez replied. "But they're trapped in the lower sections. The corridors are blocked." Chen felt time running out. Every second brought more danger. The smart thing would be to take the people they had saved and leave. Most captains would make that choice. Most species would accept that some losses were unavoidable. But Chen thought about those 40 people trapped in the dark waiting for help that might not come. Chief, can you reach them? Maybe, but it'll take time we don't have. Chen made another choice that went against military logic. Do it anyway. We don't leave people behind. For the next hour, the Marines worked like heroes. They cut through, blocked passages, and carried injured civilians through dangerous sections of the ship. Above them, the Indomitable's guns never stopped firing, destroying pieces of debris that threatened the rescue operation. With only minutes to spare, Martinez led the last group of Zephyrians to safety. As soon as they were aboard, Chen ordered the ship to move away from the collapse zone. Behind them, the debris field fell in on itself like a dying star. The graveyard of ships became an asteroid field. The wandering star disappeared under tons of twisted metal. In the medical bay, Dr. Martinez worked alongside Zephyrian healers to treat the wounded. The aliens had their own medical knowledge, and they shared it freely with the humans. Together, they saved lives that might have been lost. Chen walked through the corridors of her ship, seeing Zephyrian families huddled in human quarters. Children of 2 different species played together, using games that needed no words. Adults shared food and water even though they had been enemies just days before. "Captain," called Dr. Yilan, "Director Veltar wants to speak with you." Chen found the Zephyrian scientist in the observation lounge. He stood at the window, looking out at the stars. "Your people confuse me," he said without turning around. "In our culture, we believe that helping others makes you weak. It gives them power over you." "And what do you believe now?" Chen asked. Veltar finally turned to look at her. "I believe I have much to learn about humans." Chen smiled. "We have much to learn about each other." But their moment of understanding was interrupted by an urgent call from the bridge. "Captain, to the bridge immediately," came Rodriguez's voice. "We have a big problem." Chen ran to the bridge, her heart sinking. She feared their rescue had been discovered. She worried about political consequences or military retaliation. She had no idea how much bigger their problem really was. Chen arrived on the bridge to find Rodriguez staring at multiple screens filled with incoming messages. His face looked grim. "What's the situation?" Chen asked. "Word of the rescue has reached both human and Zephyrian command," Rodriguez said. "We're getting orders from 3 different admirals and none of them agree with each other." Chen sat in her command chair and read the messages. Admiral Harrison wanted her to deliver the Zephyrians to human intelligence for questioning. Admiral Chen wanted her to return immediately for a full investigation. The third message was even worse. "Admiral Morrison is ordering us to treat the Zephyrians as prisoners of war," Rodriguez said quietly. "He says the peace treaty doesn't cover military vessels operating in contested space." Chen felt sick. These people had just been rescued from certain death. Now some humans wanted to lock them up and interrogate them. And the Zephyrian messages? Even worse. Their fleet command is demanding immediate return of their citizens. They're threatening military action if we don't comply within 48 hours. Chen looked at the tactical display. The nearest human base was 3 days away. The nearest Zephyrian outpost was even farther. Meanwhile, she had 127 frightened aliens on her ship, and both governments wanted to use them as political tools. "Captain," called Dr. Yilan from her station, "I'm getting reports of problems in the lower decks." "What kind of problems?" "Fights. Arguments. Some of the crew are angry about sharing quarters and food with Zephyrians." Chen sighed. She had expected this. Her ship was designed for 800 humans, not 800 humans plus 127 aliens. The life support systems were working overtime. Food supplies were running low. Living space was cramped. "I'll handle it," Chen said. "Rodriguez, you have the bridge." Chen made her way to Deck 7, where most of the Zephyrian refugees were staying. She could hear raised voices before she reached the main corridor. A crowd had gathered around the mess hall entrance. At the center of the crowd, Gunner's mate Thompson stood face to face with a group of young Zephyrians. Thompson was a big man with angry eyes. He had lost his brother during the war. "This is our ship," Thompson was saying. "We risked our lives to save you people, and now you're taking our food and our beds." The young Zephyrians didn't understand his words, but they understood his tone. Their large eyes showed fear and confusion. One of them, barely more than a child, started making high-pitched sounds. "Thompson, stand down," Chen ordered. The gunner turned to face her. "Captain, with respect, we're on half rations because of these aliens. My squad is sleeping in the cargo bay because their families are using our quarters." Chen understood his anger. Thompson was a good sailor, but he had seen too much death during the war. The Zephyrians reminded him of painful memories. "These people are refugees, not prisoners," Chen said. "We saved them because it was the right thing to do." "The right thing." Thompson's voice got louder. "Tell that to my brother's widow. Tell that to the families who lost everything when the Zephyrians bombed New Houston." The young Zephyrian made more high-pitched sounds. Suddenly, a strange smell filled the air. It was sweet and sharp at the same time. Several humans in the crowd started coughing. Two of them fell to their knees, gasping for air. "Medical emergency," Chen called into her communicator. "Deck 7, mess hall." Dr. Martinez arrived with his medical team within minutes. He quickly treated the affected humans with anti-allergy medication. Meanwhile, the young Zephyrian had collapsed, shaking with fear. Dr. Yilan knelt beside the alien child. She spoke in soothing Zephyrian words while checking for injuries. "What happened?" Chen asked. "Defensive pheromones," Dr. Yilan explained. "When young Zephyrians feel threatened, their bodies release chemicals to scare away predators. They can't control it." "Is it dangerous?" "Not usually, but some humans are allergic to the compounds. It can cause breathing problems." Chen looked around at the crowd. Humans and Zephyrians stared at each other with suspicion and fear. This was exactly what she had worried about. "Everyone return to your duties or quarters," Chen announced. "Thompson, report to my ready room in 1 hour." As the crowd dispersed, Chen knelt beside the young Zephyrian. The child was still shaking, but the pheromone release had stopped. Dr. Yilan continued speaking in gentle tones. "What is she saying?" Chen asked. "She's apologizing. She thinks she hurt the humans on purpose. In Zephyrian culture, releasing defense pheromones is considered very rude." Chen felt her heart break a little. This child had just survived a terrible ordeal, and now she felt guilty for a natural biological response. "Tell her it's okay," Chen said. "Tell her she's safe now," Dr. Yilan translated. The young Zephyrian looked at Chen with her large eyes. She made a soft sound that might have been gratitude. Later, in her ready room, Chen met with Thompson. The gunner sat stiffly in his chair, still angry but trying to control it. "I know this is hard," Chen said. "You lost people in the war." "We all did." "Yes, ma'am. But why should we suffer to help them?" "They wouldn't do the same for us," Chen thought about how to answer. During the war, she had seen the worst of both species. Humans had bombed Zephyrian civilian targets. Zephyrians had enslaved human prisoners. Both sides had committed terrible acts. "Maybe you're right," Chen said. "Maybe they wouldn't help us. But that doesn't change what we should do." "I don't understand, Captain. We don't help people because they deserve it, Thompson. We help them because we're human. It's what makes us different from species that only care about themselves." Thompson was quiet for a long moment. "My brother died trying to protect a refugee convoy. The Zephyrians showed no mercy. I know, and I'm sorry for your loss. But those Zephyrians on Deck 7 aren't the ones who killed your brother. They're just people who needed help." Thompson nodded slowly. "I'll try to remember that, Captain." After Thompson left, Chen called Dr. Yilan to her ready room. "How are the refugees doing?" Chen asked. "Better than expected. Director Veltar has been very helpful. He's working with our engineers to modify the life support systems for Zephyrian needs. He's also teaching our medical staff about Zephyrian biology." "And the politics?" Dr. Yilan looked worried. "That's more complicated. Some of the Zephyrians think this is all a trick. They believe humans are planning to use them as bargaining tools with their government." Chen rubbed her temples. She felt a headache coming on. Are we? I don't know. Captain, what do you plan to do when we reach human space? It was a good question. Chen had orders from 3 different admirals, all contradicting each other. She had 127 aliens on her ship who didn't trust her motives. She had a crew that was starting to resent the situation. And somewhere out there, political leaders on both sides were probably planning how to use this incident for their own purposes. I'm going to do what's right, Chen said finally. And what's that? Chen looked out the window at the stars. Space was vast and cold and empty. In that emptiness, acts of kindness seemed small and meaningless. But Chen believed they were the only things that really mattered. I don't know yet, she admitted. But I'll figure it out. 2 days later, her decision was made for her. Long range. Sensors detected a massive fleet approaching their position. It wasn't human and it wasn't Zephyrian. It was Korath. And they were coming for revenge. Chen stared at the tactical display in disbelief. 27 Korath ships moved toward them in attack formation. Her single dreadnought was powerful, but not powerful enough to fight an entire fleet. How long until they reach us? Chen asked. 6 hours at their current speed, Rodriguez replied. Captain, we need to call for backup. The nearest human fleet is 18 hours away, Torres reported. The Zephyrians are even farther. Chen felt trapped. The Korath had obviously called for reinforcements after their scavenger ships were destroyed. Now they wanted revenge, and they had brought enough firepower to guarantee it. Captain, Dr. Yalan called from her station. Director Veltar is requesting permission to come to the bridge. Send him up. A few minutes later, the tall Zephyrian scientist entered the bridge. Chen noticed that her crew watched him carefully. Even now, after 3 days together, the humans weren't completely comfortable around their former enemies. Captain Chen, Veltar said in his careful English, my people have been monitoring your communications. We understand the situation. Then you know we're in trouble. Yes. But there is something you should know about our research mission. We were not just studying old ruins. Chen turned to face him fully. What do you mean? Veltar looked around the bridge nervously. What I am about to tell you could change the balance of power in the galaxy. My government would execute me for sharing this information with humans. But you're going to tell me anyway? Your species has shown us something we did not expect. Honor. Sacrifice for strangers. In our culture, such behavior is considered weakness, but I begin to think we are wrong. Veltar activated a small device he carried. A holographic display appeared in the air, showing star charts and technical diagrams. We discovered the location of an ancient weapons cache, technology from the precursor civilization, left behind millions of years ago. The Korath learned of our discovery and have been hunting us across 3 star systems. Chen studied the display. The technical information was beyond her understanding, but the implications were clear. Weapons technology that advanced could tip the balance between any 2 civilizations. Why are you telling me this? Chen asked. Because in 3 days aboard your ship, I have learned more about humanity than in 3 years of war. You saved us, not for gain, not for advantage, but because your conscience demanded it. Rodriguez stepped forward. With respect, this doesn't change our tactical situation. We still can't fight 27 ships. Veltar smiled, an expression that looked strange on his alien features. Perhaps we cannot fight them, but we can deny them their prize. What do you mean? The research data is stored in quantum encrypted files aboard my ship, but I can transmit copies to both human and Zephyrian space simultaneously. If neither side can have exclusive access to the technology, perhaps both sides can benefit equally. Chen realized what he was suggesting. You want to give away the biggest discovery in galactic history. I want to prevent a war over it. If the Korath capture this information, they will sell it to the highest bidder. Entire civilizations could be enslaved or destroyed. Chen looked around her bridge. Her crew watched her with expectant faces. These people had followed her through an impossible rescue mission. Now she was asking them to risk their lives again for an ideal. Do it, Chen said. For the next 2 hours, the Indomitable became a beacon of information. Veltar worked with human communications specialists, to transmit the research data across space. The quantum encrypted files were copied and sent to universities, governments, and research stations throughout human and Zephyrian territory. By the time the Korath fleet arrived, the secret was already spreading across the galaxy. Incoming transmission from the Korath fleet, Torres announced. Put it on screen. The main display showed a nightmarish face with too many teeth and eyes like black holes. The Korath admiral spoke in a voice like grinding metal. Human vessel. You have stolen our prize. Return the Zephyrian research data and we will allow you to die quickly. Chen stood up. The data has already been transmitted. Your prize is worthless now, the Korath admiral roared in fury. Then you will all die slowly. Attack formation. The 27 enemy ships moved into battle positions. Chen watched them approach and felt strangely calm. She had made her choices. She had saved lives and prevented a war. If this was how it ended, at least it was for something worthwhile. Captain, Rodriguez said quietly, it's been an honor serving with you. The honor was mine, Chen replied. All ships, open fire, came the Korath admiral's voice. But before the enemy weapons could fire, space around the Indomitable suddenly filled with new ships. Human dreadnoughts appeared on one side. Zephyrian bioships materialized on the other. Both fleets had arrived at the same time, responding to the transmitted data. Chen stared in amazement. How did they get here so fast? They must have been already en route, Rodriguez said. Both sides probably detected the Korath fleet movement and came to investigate. On the communications channel, multiple voices spoke at once. Human admirals demanded explanations. Zephyrian commanders issued ultimatums. The Korath fleet found itself surrounded and outnumbered. But the most surprising voice belonged to Admiral Harrison, Chen's own fleet commander. Captain Chen, this is Admiral Harrison. I'm ordering you to stand down and prepare for boarding. Chen felt her heart sink. After everything they had been through, she was still going to face court-martial for her actions. Admiral, Chen replied, I take full responsibility for my crew's actions. The rescue mission was my decision alone. Captain, Admiral Harrison's voice sounded amused. I'm not here to arrest you. I'm here to offer you a new command. Chen blinked in confusion. Sir? The Joint Human-Zephyrian Council has voted to establish a new organization. A combined fleet dedicated to protecting civilians and maintaining peace between our species. They want you to command it. Chen looked around her bridge in amazement. Her crew smiled back at her with pride and relief. But sir, I violated direct orders. I risked an interstellar incident. You saved lives, Captain. You prevented a war over ancient technology. And you showed both our species that cooperation is possible. On another channel, the Zephyrian fleet commander spoke in accented English. Captain Chen, I am Admiral Kethvar. My government has authorized me to place our ships under your temporary command for this operation. Chen felt overwhelmed. I don't understand. Director Veltar's report has been received by our leadership. His account of human honor and sacrifice has caused much discussion in our councils. Perhaps it is time for both our species to learn new ways. The Korath admiral, seeing himself outnumbered 10-1, tried one last threat. This alliance will not last, humans. Your species are too different. When you turn on each other, we will be waiting. Chen opened a channel to all ships, human and Zephyrian alike. Korath fleet, you have two options. Withdraw immediately, or be destroyed. The choice is yours. The enemy ships held their positions for a long moment. Then, slowly, they began to retreat. The Korath were bullies, but they weren't stupid. They knew when they were beaten. As the enemy fleet disappeared into hyperspace, Chen felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned to see Veltar standing beside her command chair. Thank you, Captain, the Zephyrian scientist said. You have shown my people something we had forgotten. That sometimes the strongest thing you can do is show mercy. Chen smiled. You showed me something too, that enemies can become allies if they're willing to try. 6 months later, Chen stood on the bridge of her new ship, the UES ZRS Harmony. Half her crew was human, half Zephyrian. They worked together like they had been born to it. Through the main window, she could see the construction of Research Station, Alpha, built around the ancient precursor cache. Human and Zephyrian scientists worked side by side, unlocking technologies that would benefit both civilizations. Captain called her new first officer, a Zephyrian named Sorthon. Incoming distress signal. Civilian transport under attack by pirates in the neutral zone. Chen smiled and settled into her command chair. Around her, human and Zephyrian crew members prepared for another rescue mission. Set course for the neutral zone, Chen ordered. Maximum speed. Aye, Captain, came the reply from two species, speaking as one. The Harmony leaped forward into space, carrying hope toward people who needed it. Behind them, the research station continued its work, proof that former enemies could build something better together than either could achieve, alone. In her captain's log that night, Chen wrote, "We don't leave people to die in the void. It doesn't matter what species they are, what they look like, or whether they were once our enemies. We help because it's right. We help because it's what makes us better than we were yesterday." She paused, thinking about how much had changed since that first distress signal 3 years ago. And sometimes, she added, helping others helps us find the best parts of ourselves.